Hey everybody, Tim here with today's review of Doctor Who, story number 16, The Chase. So this is a huge story. It's an important story. It's my friend Luke's favorite story. So it's 6 episodes long. And it's kind of the end of a saga, if you will, where it's finally the departure of Ian and Barbra, the first companions, and we sort of meet a new companion, although we don't necessarily know it yet. We'll find out in the next story. So the episode, as you can tell by the title of The Chase, it's basically just the Daleks chasing the crew around from planet to planet to planet. Now, as I've said with some other stories, like this story is 6 episodes long, and usually 6 episodes is a lot for me. And by the time I get to the end, I'm usually a little tired and I'm a little worn out. This one is actually no different. By the time I finally get to the last episode, I'm like, just please end it already. But it's every episode is so different that it really keeps you intrigued and interested throughout the whole thing. So from the beginning, we see Vicky feeling unwanted and unappreciated and just kind of messing stuff up. And the Doctor has created this new thing, and it's basically a TV, because, it's 1965. And it basically, anything you can think of, it shows you on this TV. So if you think of a certain time period or a certain person, now you can see what's going on the TV. So, for example, Ian tests it out first, and he sees Lincoln giving the Gettysburg Address. And then we see Barbra use it, and we see Queen Elizabeth and talking to Shakespeare and getting the idea for Hamlet and stuff like that. So the TARDIS finally materializes on this sand planet, and it's kind of some funny scenes. We see a tentacle move under the sand, and there's a great scene where the Doctor is kind of singing or humming, and Barbara's like, "What's that awful noise?" And the Doctor's basically like, "How dare you? Like, that's me singing." They find Ian and Vicky find a ring in the sand, and Vicky tells the story about how it can lead to disaster. And sure enough, when he tries to pull the ring up, it ends up being a trap door. A sandstorm buries the TARDIS, and then this all happens in just the first episode. The episode ends with like a Dalek popping up out of the sand. So, like, kind of a continuation from the last episode or the last story into this one, we know the Daleks are now able to track the TARDIS and follow them. And so the Daleks have followed them to this planet. We see some more stuff go on with this. We see a lot of crazy alien outfits, like the giant blob monster, kind of an octopus. It's a crazy, like, costume, but it's a lot better than the moth and the ant one from the Web Planet. Finally, the Doctor and the crew are able to escape this planet, and they go somewhere else where, by the way, so they escape, and the Daleks are about to chase them, and they say their usual catchphrase, "Exterminate, exterminate," but then they start, like, adding stuff. They're like, "Exterminate, annihilate, obliterate." So we still haven't quite got the Daleks narrowed down to the way we know of them yet. They still have other little catchphrases in there. So I love how I think it's the 3rd episode at this point, starts where we see the TARDIS kind of floating around in space, and then the Dalek ship chasing them. And it's like this upbeat 60s music. It's kind of funny. It cracked me up. So they land in 1966 New York, and there's like this guy giving a tour, and he's like, "Oh, you're on one of the tallest buildings. Over here's another building. Over here's another building." And there's a guy from Alabama. And it's kind of funny because the TARDIS appears and he's trying to talk to them. And he's like, "Oh, that's a clown car, isn't it?" And then they're like, "Sure." And they all run away. And as soon as they leave, the Daleks show up. And he's like, "Oh, you guys are part of them people that just showed up." And I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've seen Americans in Doctor Who. But it's great how, like, over the top they are and how, like, just forced all of the accents are. It cracked me up. It was really great kind of watching, like, the New York accent and the Alabama accent. So from here, they go to a ship, and they land on the ship, and it's in the middle of the ocean, and, like, Vicky and Barbra are trying to convince the crew that they're okay. The Daleks show up, basically kill everybody. The TARDIS escapes. The Daleks chase after them, and it turns out that it's the Mary Celeste, which is a very famous ship that the crew just disappeared, and one of the lifeboats was gone, but nobody knows where anybody went, and it's just this giant mystery. So I liked how they kind of tied that into it, and they tried to kind of give an explanation to it. I thought that was really great. They go to a haunted mansion that has Dracula and Frankenstein. It ends up being like this futuristic amusement park type thing where everybody's kind of robots. So the Daleks do their photo negative shooting laser thing, but Dracula it doesn't affect him because he's not real. But I like how they make some references to like, oh, this is a great place to fight the Daleks because there's stairs, and Daleks don't like stairs. Because like I said, this is still those early episodes, and we don't really see the Daleks fly or move upstairs or anything until we get to the 9th Doctor. So I love how that's already established, like, oh, the Daleks can only move like laterally on solid floors. So I love that. So from here, it gets really more interesting where Vicky accidentally gets left behind in the haunted mansion. And they don't realize it until later, but she stows away on the Dalek ship. And she sees that the Daleks have created this android replica of the Doctor. Which, once again, like I said, every episode of this is so unique that, like, some of the other storylines where it's been 6 episodes, like, by the time I get to the 6th episode, I'm just so tired. I'm like, okay, I get it. You're in Rome, or you're here, or you're there, and I get it. Every episode is so contained and unique that I love this story. So we have a whole episode where there's an android replica of the Doctor, and we see William Hartnell as the first Doctor, and he's fighting his replica, and the makeup is so bad, and you can clearly tell it's a different actor. Like, it doesn't even look like William Hartnell, and you see Ian and Barbara and Vicky, and they're just like, which one's the real one? And you're like, clearly the one that looks like totally fake. But it was really great to kind of watch that. They go to a mechanoid city where we finally meet a new race of aliens that are kind of similar to the Daleks because they're basically giant robots. And we meet the new character Steve, who we don't know it yet, but he will become the new companion later on. And finally, after we finally conquered all of this, we've conquered the Daleks and everything's over, Ian and Barbara have basically confront the Doctor, and they're like, so you can't get us home. You've been trying to get us home for 2 years and you've been failing. This Dalek time machine is better than the TARDIS, so we're just going to take this and we're going to go home. And the Doctor just erupts. He is so upset and so angry about how much he's shown them and how he's treated them and everything he's done for them, and they're just abandoning him. And they're like, I mean, thanks, but no thanks. Sorry, but not sorry. Like, it's time, Doctor. It's time. And so they take the Dalek machine and they go back. They miss it by 2 years, which kind of keeps it in a continuity. So they go back to where they originated 2 years later, and then the Dalek machine basically self-destructs right as they escape. But it's really sad to kind of watch Ian and Barbara finally leave. And like I said, I feel like this is the ending of an era where these are the last of the original companions, and we have now said goodbye. First, we said goodbye to Susan, which was just tragic. I will still fight to this day that I want to see Susan again. And now Ian and Barbara are leaving. So the actress who played Barbara passed away, but we do see her as a different character later on. William Russell is still alive today, so I kind of hope someday we'll see him. We do see shout-outs to Ian and Barbara. So, for example, like with, I think it was the 12th Doctor, Clara teaches at Coal Hill High, and there was like a sign that talks about like Ian Chesterton, and I think it mentioned Barbara as well. So we know Ian and Barbara are still alive in the current continuity, but hopefully one day we'll see Ian again. I don't know. He does have a cameo in the movie Adventures in Times and Space, the actual actor. But it's sad saying goodbye to these two because they're favorites. They're the originals. When people are like, well, who comes to mind as your first Doctor and your first companion? This is the first Doctor and first companions I saw was the Doctor, Susan, Barbara, and Ian, and now it's just the first Doctor. So I don't know. It's really sad to see them go, but I agree that it did seem like it was time. So, like I said, we don't know Steve is actually a companion yet. He's, spoiler alert for the next story, he is on board, but we don't know that. But it's sad. So, for those who have seen this story, like I said, this is actually a favorite among a lot of people because it's very unique in how it's one story, but it's still very episodic. So, what did you guys think about everything? What did you think about the Sand Planet? What did you think about the I lost the name. The Mary Celeste. What did you think about the Dracula Castle? What did you think about New York in the American, especially those that are not from America that watched this episode? Did you think it was great to see the America? Or go ahead, let me know what you think about the America. What did you think about the mechanoids? Go ahead, let me know about what you guys think about this story. Thank you guys for everything. I really hope you guys are enjoying these Doctor Who reviews, and I will see you guys next time for another fan favorite, the Time Meddler.